Welcome to the No Budget Indie Filmcast, where we dip into the independent film universe to highlight those little films that you might not have heard about elsewhere. Will you agree with our panel, or will our panel agree with each other? Tune in to find out. I am Milo Dennison, and with me, as always, is Claire Milan
Hello.
and Cathal Feeney.
Hello.
All right, Claire, what's on the agenda this week?
So this week we sat down to watch a Chinese film called Sister. It was actually Oscar nominated, and it's a stop motion animation by Siqi Song. It's about a man remembering his childhood memories of growing up with an annoying little sister in 1990s China. So how he imagines how would his life have been if things have gone differently. It's I thought it was a beautiful stop motion picture with it's filmed in black and white with little bits of color. Like the little sister has a little red bow and there's little patches of color. And it's like they're like made out of material, all the characters. And so at the start you just see this guy and this young boy, and then there's this little sister and she's annoying. She's like crying in the crib, and all of a sudden in one segment she like gets like becomes really big and large and takes up the room, and she's eating his toys, and then it cuts on to them fighting over the television and what to watch, and him eating and then losing a tooth. And these little segments, you're just thinking, wow, this is so cute. This is lovely. He's having fights with little sister, and then suddenly, it's a bit of a spoiler alert. I probably have to spoil it a little bit, but there's a gut punch in this film. It just hits you, and I didn't expect it. I didn't read the comments underneath. So if you want to watch the film first, maybe, and then listen to the rest of this review. But the sister never existed, because so in China, I think it's from 1980 until 2015, in China they had a one child policy. So a lot of people, if they were pregnant with a second child, they'd have an abortion. And yeah, the mother aborts the little sister. I think it's based on a true story. So the first part of the film is just him imagining it. And in one point you see the little sister in the womb, and it's like it just really, it's like a gut punch. It's like just hits you suddenly. Oh my God, this sister never existed, and she's being aborted. So a bit of a trigger warning for watching this film. There should have been anyway at the start, in the summary before, on YouTube, just because it could be triggering for some people, but I didn't expect it. I didn't expect the film to be about that. But it's extremely moving. And I went back to the start and watched it a second time, just to with the knowing the revelation that the sister never existed and she was aborted. But it was very powerful, very well done with the stop animation, and you can see why it was nominated for an Oscar. Definitely left an impression with me. So what do you guys think of it? Mm.
Yeah, I agree. The stop motion work was really well done, and I really like the way the characters were, and it was kind of fun, the exaggeration of it, like the bit where she blows up and then just grabs the toy and eats it, because of course that's what little kids do. They just grab everything and put them in their mouths, and where he deflates her. And then watching that first half of it, because I have a younger sister, she's 2 years younger than me. And it kind of reminded me of our relationship, because as kids, we hated each other. We fought all the time. We'd fight over the remote control of who to gets to watch TV and stuff like that. But now that we're adults, we appreciate each other. So it's a very different relationship. So that was an interesting, like, relation that I was able to take to it. Um, I don't know about the bits of color. That kind of I found distracting, because it's like you've got these little bits of red. There's a door that has like a red sign on it, and there was a couple. And I'm like, I don't know. It what it reminded me of is Schindler's List, and
Yes.
there's the scene in the where the girl with the red jacket, and in Schindler's List it worked because you get an emotional impact with it. Here it just kind of felt like they just felt like they needed to put some color in it for some reason. I didn't really get the point of it. Like maybe if it was just her bow, but it wasn't just her bow. There were other little bits, but they didn't really seem relevant to me, anyways. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd notice, but it didn't seem like it in general. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting message because of that policy in China at the time, to where like, and I guess the way it worked is you could have two children. You just needed to prove that you could afford to have two children. And
Mm,
so I think and they say it in this where like my parents said they couldn't afford to have another child or something like that. So it was kind of sad, but yeah, it's really it's got a nice message to it.
and when I went back to watch it a second time and saw the little girl, little baby girl blowing up, it's like that's the elephant in the room. That's the thing hanging over him. So there's a lot
Mhm.
of symbolism in it. I saw the second time knowing what was ahead of it in the narrative. Yeah,
Mm.
it's very powerful.
Yeah. I guess Milo, with regards to you and your sister, you can appreciate her now you're older because you live on a different continent. Yeah.
It's true. We spend too much time together. We're like, oh, I hate you. Yeah.
um, yeah, I like this film. Um, with stop motion animation and animation in general. You can be a lot more creative with the form, and you can manipulate things that you can do in real life. So as you say, the blowing up and the pulling of the nose and so on. You can have fun with that. I saw the blowing up of the baby as the baby, this tiny little creature having such an outsized influence or uh effect on his life. Like he can't ignore. So he's sitting there, but the baby's screaming and rattling and crying, and she's tiny, but you just unignorable. Um, I I didn't realize it was the first time I watched it. I didn't know it was a Chinese film, so I kind of thought it was sort of a pro-life type thing. But then when when I read it, or I just said it was Chinese, and went, oh yeah, no, I get it. And it comes, I suppose, a bit more poignant from that point of view. I think the director is a woman, so um, the writer director is a woman. I'm pretty sure because if you're going through the pictures on IMDb, he's there on the set. Uh, so I guess she was a girl that probably would have liked to have an older brother. Yeah. So he sort of inverted the narrative for the film. Um, yeah, the one child policy, I think it was pretty mandatory. Like I think if you had to, it was you were sort of, I don't know, they didn't come along, take it away and
You pay a fine,
kill
I
it
think,
or
didn't
anything.
you?
Yeah,
Was it a fine you had to pay or
yeah,
something?
Yeah,
maybe it was a
that's it. You
fine
had to be
or
pretty wealthy in order to have two.
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, or they made life really awkward for you, very very difficult for you.
And the fact, I think it only stopped like in 2015 or something. It's one child policy.
Relatively recent. Yeah.
That's like crazy, isn't it? To think how recent that is.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's caused a problem for them now because
Okay.
that aging population doesn't have a young population to
Okay.
support them. So that's one of the reasons why they've relaxed the rule.
Yeah. It's funny, Call. I got the same thing too, like watching through it. I'm like, don't preach to me your pro-life
Mm.
propaganda stuff. Yeah. And then
Mm.
when you figure out that it's a Chinese woman, you're like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
It
But
puts a
yeah,
very different spin in it, doesn't it? Because I know in the
it
comments,
really does.
arguing
Yeah.
like about abortion, and someone said, this is Chinese. Do you know?
Mhm.
Someone said,
Yeah, in the
it's
comments, and you're
like
like, oh, okay, yeah. Because it is funny to like how the context of how you're looking at it changes with just that piece of information.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
you mentioned there, Claire, like it's based on a true life story. I guess it is. Like, I mean, with 1 billion people, I'm sure
Lots of true life
there's
stories.
many.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And this was the reality. There must have been loads of abortions in
yeah.
China.
Yeah.
I'm a bit surprised that at 4 years of age, that his mother told him, yeah, we had it.
Mm.
We were having another baby, but we had to, abort it. So tough luck. You're not having a brother or a sister. You would
Sorry,
have
kiddo.
imagined. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I just
You would
thought
have
that
imagined.
final scene of the baby in the womb, and then it just goes dark. Like, Jesus, like that's like really hits you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
When
heartbreaking. Mhm.
Yeah, and I think you could pick it apart too, because I really doubt, like, depending on how far along the mother was when she had the abortion, I don't know how long, but it takes a while before you know the gender, I
Mhm.
believe, right? So if she had it
Yeah,
early enough, she probably wouldn't have known the gender, I think.
yeah.
I don't know. Somebody
That's a
can
good
correct me if
point.
I might be wrong.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that's a great nitpicking point there.
Hmm.
Maybe
Like,
we
hey,
could
honey, I had an abortion. It was a girl. It would have been your
yeah,
sister.
Oh God,
exactly.
that's
But
traumatizing.
sorry, kiddo. Yeah.
Well, I love what
But
the,
it
the
helps with
picture
the
I have
story.
like behind me there, the frame, like them taking the picture, the photograph,
Mhm.
and then at the start it's just three of them, and then the little sister comes in. I just thought it was really clever. It was just make
Yeah.
it really kind of like rounded off the film. Nice going back to that picture as well, and it's just such a clever narrative device, and visually as
Hmm.
well with the old camera.
Yeah, it was very nice, very sweet. I mean, the whole opening section with the relationship with him and his sister, and the that dynamic, the arguments, and then the cuteness of the tooth and all that. So it was,
On the little
it
tree. It
was
was just so cute when she planted, she put the little tooth
All
that
the twos.
the boy lost into, and it grew a tree. It was, and all these little teeth. It was just brilliant. And it was amazing the emotion as well that came across from all the stop motion with the eyebrows particularly. It just really
Mm.
hits you. It's amazing what you can do with with stop motion to create emotion, I think.
yeah, and you wonder what, like, in terms of psychology, like you have a whole nation of hundreds of millions of single children.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I suppose maybe because everybody's a single child, maybe it helps. But you wonder, like, what is the psychological evolution of a nation? How that works? Like having so many single child uh, people in society and in the economy. Had that manifest itself, or did it?
Well, I mean, I guess if everybody's that way, it's probably the norm, right?
Mm.
So, like
Yeah,
us, we're
yeah.
used to multi-children families to where when somebody's an only child, that's the abnormal thing. And you're like, oh, what was that like?
Or
I
it's funny,
bet you
like
it's just
same,
the opposite when they come
especially like
across
in
a family
Ireland.
with multiple.
Like say like in back
Oh, yeah.
in the 50s, or they had multiple children, like 10, 12 children, and that'd be unheard of
Hmm.
now, you know?
Yep.
So
Just keep
mm.
popping them out, new one every year.
But like, even I mean, apart from that, but even within a family, you often hear stories about the eldest child is this, and the middle child is this, and the youngest child is this, and so how you grow up, how you develop, how your brain develops is affected by the environment you grow up in.
Mm,
So,
mm.
like, yeah, as people grow up and go into adulthood and go out in society, that that they fit in different ways, and their personalities, as the way it's evolved, has kind of fits in different ways. So you have, I suppose, different personality types, which has been formulated to a large degree by their upbringing. But if everybody's just being in a single child family, they'd all have this, maybe this overly, maybe they're all a bunch of narcissists.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
they've just had the devotion of their parents all their lives, just them, and maybe that's why they want to invade Taiwan.
That's it. It all comes back to that. Like,
Yeah,
yep, if they had more children, they wouldn't have wanted to invade Taiwan.
exactly. And
Sure,
this is the consequence of the one child uh, policy. I
sure.
wonder now Xi Jinping, and he was probably before that.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we rate it?
Yeah, go on.
All right. Call, you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
I'll go first. Seems to be my role. Uh, I, I having watched it, I thought it was very very nice, and stop motion was really good. Um, I had a more negative reaction to it until I realized it was Chinese and what it was all about, the one-child policy. So taking everything into consideration, I will give it 4 stars.
All right. Yeah, I mean, whether you agree with the message or not, I think the fact that the message comes through so clearly and with an emotional impact is what good filmmaking is all about. And she gets that in this film. We get the message, we're emotionally impacted by it. She does a great job of creating character and emotion via stop motion of all things. So I'm gonna go 4 stars as well. It's really well done.
Yeah. And for me, it was a shock when I realized, okay, this sister never existed and she was aborted. And the fact it was about the Chinese one-child policy, but really beautiful animation, very emotional film, and beautifully done, and kind of simple as well. So I'm going to give it 4.5 stars.
Mhm. Well, there you have it, no budget filmcast audience. We really enjoyed this film. Check it out. It's called
Sis-
Child,
Sister.
Kid, Sister. There we go. It's called Sister. And let us know what you think. You can leave a comment or you can reach us on our social media channels at No Budget Show on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And until next time, we'll say see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Right.